right. And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Hello,
And
hello.
thank you very much for joining us here for another episode of the Canuckleheads Show, episode 8, as a matter of fact. My name is Frankie, and I'm with the New West Reset channel.
And I'm Chris with Old World Exploration.
And Chris, what are we looking at tonight?
Victoria, the capital of my province, Victoria, BC.
Ah, the Queen City. Lovely. Yes. And this
Yeah.
comes by request from a viewer, a subscriber of both of our channels, if I'm not mistaken. And she's Liz is her name. She suggested it back just at sort of at the tail end of summer, beginning of the fall. Said, "Hey, how's about doing Victoria?" And we said, "By howdy, why not?"
A no-brainer.
The Canuckleheads can cover that nicely, because one of them lived there.
That's right, my old university days.
Ah, yeah. See, there you go. There you go.
They tried to brainwash me, but I don't think it worked.
It didn't take.
No, it didn't stick. Yeah.
No, you moved up into the Rockies, and you're able to shake it off.
Well, you know what happened? 9/11 happened, actually, and I was like, yeah, no, this is a lot of lies, a whole bag of lies that I'm not willing to stuff down my throat.
Yeah, a lot of weird stuff going on here right now. What's going on?
Yeah.
Speaking of what's going on, welcome to everybody in the chat. Thank you very much for joining us here tonight. Sound off, say hello, don't be shy. I mean, we're coming at you as a couple of Canuckleheads from Canada, but let us know where you're coming from, where you're visiting from.
Yeah, and thanks for joining us, for sure.
Got Bernie's here, a neighbor, a fellow Tartarian Calgarian.
Hey, Bernie.
My buddy Vince is here as well. Cousin Vinny, good to see you. Yeah. Oh, there's Terry. There you go. Terry's here. Jabberoo Joe. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Oh, wow. Go ahead, take a stab at that, Chris, at the name.
I don't think I will.
Yeah, sorry. No idea.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Hello, hello. Internet person. Greetings, internet person. Scottish Tart. Hello, hello. Welcome. Marilyn's here as well. Marilyn Denham. Howdy, howdy. Ed from Oregon. Got Curtis in the house. Howdy, hey, Curtis. Welcome.
Yeah.
Hey, Maggot's here as well. Hey, bro. Howdy, howdy. Good day to you. So, yeah, thanks, everybody, for taking time out of your weekend to join us here. As mentioned, Canucklehead Show, Episode 8. Looking at Victoria. Links for everything will be in the description. And, of course, as per usual with the Canucklehead Show here, we're broadcasting simultaneously on both channels. So links for both channels and all of, our contact info. If you want to send us ideas for our channels, for the show here.
Yeah.
Or even let us know in the chat. Hey, guys, maybe have a look at Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, maybe.
Ooh.
How about that? To which I would say, you may have something there.
Yeah. That's a ways away. That's the other side of the continent.
Well, you got to go way to the east over there, eh? Over to the Maritimes areas there, bud.
Aye.
They got good donair over there.
I've heard that.
That's basically where what we know as Canadians is donair. It comes from Halifax, technically, from Nova Scotia, the Halifax, Dartmouth area. But, that whole Maritime and Newfoundland, Labrador area, they love their donair over there. It's like a gyro sort of there, people. Delicious.
What's not to love?
Absolutely. So what do you think? Should we get the show on the road?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's dive in.
Let's have a look at where we are on the map first, maybe, and just to give everybody an idea of, who and the what and the where and the whatnot. So there she is, Canada. She's a beauty, eh? And that's pretty much how it's looking today. Winter rolling in.
Yeah. Not too severe. Not too severe.
No, I mean, not super cold and not even really, we were just talking before we're going live, not even really a lot of snow yet. Some that's come, but it's melted. So
Mhm.
that's an even extra beauty. So here we are. There's Chris's home province, BC. And we're looking here in the southern tip of Vancouver Island, right across the strait here. You got the San Juan Islands, so on and so forth. Everybody knows about Vancouver, but we're looking right here, the Queen City of Victoria, named after, you guessed it, Queen Elizabeth. No, I'm kidding. Queen Victoria. So that's where we're at tonight.
Yeah, you're not going to bust out the accent for us? Come on.
Oh, we'll get there. We'll get
Okay.
Go down there, eh?
Sorry.
Guy
I
there, eh,
jumped the
bot?
gun. I jumped the gun.
Hey, Susan's in the house. Hello, Susan. Good to see you. Dennis is here as well. The Brits refer to us as snap frozen Yanks. Really, I've never even heard that one before. 30 of you watching, perhaps consider giving a couple of Canuckleheads the thumbs up if you don't mind.
Yeah.
You know, just to help to push us out into the algorithm a little bit. And again, don't be shy. Pop into the chat and say hello. So let's look at the Wikipedia and see what's what here with Victoria, British Columbia, which is the capital city of the Canadian province of British Columbia. Really, you don't say. On the southern tip, Vancouver Island off of Canada's Pacific coast. The city has a population of just under 92,000, but the greater Victoria area is just shy of 400,000. So not a big city, even by Canadian standards, fairly small, really, eh? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, no, it's not a large city, and it always marveled me that it was the capital city. As a young person, you always think the biggest city is the capital city, but we have found that not even close. It's not even close to being the case for a lot of places.
Yeah, you'd think, why wouldn't it be Vancouver, right? Vancouver's huge. It rivals Toronto and Montreal, really, in a lot of ways, in terms of size and population. And, you know,
I think
but
there
it does
are
have a
reasons.
couple of claims to fame.
Yeah.
You know, for example, it's the southernmost major city in Western Canada.
Yeah, below the parallel. Was it the 49th parallel? Below one of the few? Yeah.
Yeah, it's 100 clicks southwest of Vancouver on the mainland, as mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really like 100 clicks from Seattle, too.
Yeah.
I've been to Seattle, and I've gotten there from Victoria.
On the ferry, the Port Angeles ferry that they're talking about there?
Yeah, this ferry, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Named for Queen Victoria. There she is. Look at her. We are not amused. Yeah, you never looked amused, lady. Even the back of our centennial coins, you don't look amused. Named for Queen Victoria, the city is one of the oldest in the Pacific Northwest, with British settlement beginning in 1843. It's not really that long ago in the grand scheme of things. You know,
no.
Settlements here in Canada in the east go back to, the 16 teens. But I guess you got to get around South America, so it takes a guy a while in a boat. Yeah. No railway yet, right? So no transcontinental or anything.
Hudson's
Panama
Bay
Canal.
Company.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Hudson's Bay boats.
Yeah.
So the city has retained a large number of its historic buildings, in particular two most famous landmarks, the Parliament buildings, which we will be having a look at,
mm-hmm.
and home of the Legislative Assembly of British Columbia, and the Empress Hotel, which we've actually looked at on this show, the Canucklehead show, when we looked at the Old World Railroad hotels.
Yep.
City's Chinatown is second oldest in North America after San Francisco. Huh, that I didn't even know. The region's Coast Salish First Nations people established communities in the area long before European settlement, which had large populations at the time of the European exploration. It's known as the Garden City, that I knew. So again, you have your Salish peoples. You have Juan Perez poking around down there, as well as our buddy Cook, Captain Cook. He's always got to be in the narrative somewhere.
You've got the Cook Islands down there.
Yeah,
Some of the smaller
absolutely.
islands. Yeah.
You have what's his name, the explorer who Vancouver's named after him. I think it was George
George.
Vancouver. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have your Fort Vancouver, which we've looked at on my show with Canadian Star Forts, Fort Victoria. So there you go. The fort erected in 1843 as a Hudson's Bay Trading Company. Reed Hudson's Bay, part of the umbrella of the British East India Trading Company, I'm sure. Really, just a subsidiary of.
Emissaries. I always like to think of them emissaries of that New World conquest.
Yeah.
Early emissaries. Yeah.
I would say so. Sarah's in the house. She says, I used to take the ferry to Victoria and see the wax museum in the early 90s. See, there you go. Local. Welcome. Our melted reality in the house. Howdy.
How you doing, Mark?
So, know briefly as Fort Albert. The settlement was renamed Fort Victoria in November 1843 in honor of Queen Victoria. She just decided that was that. Now, earlier today, I did a live stream on my show, just as a quick little aside here. And I did mine on New Westminster, which is on the mainland. It's now basically a neighborhood of Vancouver, but it used to be its own city. As a matter of fact, New Westminster, British Columbia, at one time was the largest city in British Columbia, even larger than Vancouver. And at one time in the 1870s, there was a bit of a battle between the city of Victoria and the city of New Westminster as to which one was going to be the capital city for the province. And originally, New Westminster was named by the lieutenant governor of the British guy in charge of the colony there. It was named Queensborough in honor of Queen Victoria. But apparently she didn't like it. Oh, no, we are not amused. We are not amused whatsoever at the naming of this city, Queensborough. Although we are thankful that you use the word queen in the name, I shall decree henceforth that Queensborough shall be known as New Westminster in honor of Westminster Abbey. So it has been said, so it shall be done.
Is that a recording? Did you actually find that recording?
That's a legitimate historical recording that I found on an old 78 RPM phonograph record. Ed knows. He was there. He saw me find it. OIC knows exactly what I'm talking about. She was not amused whatsoever. So then they're jockeying for position. Who's going to be the capital city? And once again, old Queen Vicky swoops in. I say, once again, by royal decree and royal charter, I declare that the city of my namesake, the city of Victoria, shall be the wondrous and glorious capital city of British Columbia. So it is said, so it shall be done. And that was that.
That's it, just like that, with a wave of the wand.
With the wave of the scepter with the orb, the golden orb on the tip of it.
That's right. Yeah.
She was not amused. So yeah, that's the railway comes in and it really explodes because let's just really quickly here. I know we're goofing around, but let's look at the population history here real quick. You can see in 1871. So we're already a couple decades after it was quote unquote founded.
Mm-hmm.
Not much, 3,000 people. I guess a good sized town. Makes quite a large jump here in the next decade, and then another one here into that decade. But after that, it's a pretty slow and steady increase.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of in this time period here, 1881 to about 1900, we really see just sort of pre-World War I. We see a couple of significant jumps right in here.
Yeah.
And generally, this is the area we like to focus in anyway, right?
And that's where we'll see a lot of these stone and brick structures shooting up over that time period as well.
Yeah, yeah. Now, the thing to remember is Vancouver Island is a huge island. It's one of the largest islands in the quote unquote New World. But that said, until you develop your infrastructure there and kind of do some poking around in there, everything's got to be ferried over or shipped over from the mainland. So a lot of these structures in the early time period that are built out of stone, locally sourced stone from quarries, perhaps, okay. But once you get into brick, if we're looking at structures that are pre 1880 that are made with a really large number of bricks, like some, pretty considerable sized buildings, it starts to get dodgy
Mm.
with that story, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, spotty narrative, very
I mean,
spotty.
how many trips back and forth with ships, steamships, or what have you, are you going to be making just to bring load after load after load of brick? I mean, yeah, eventually, sure, you can build a brickyard, brick factory. I'm sure. I mean, that's the case, but much like any other colony starting out, at first, there's not going to be much there locally until you get kind of a good foothold.
And let's remember that low population, even with that massive growth, not a large place whatsoever,
Yeah.
population wise.
So that's why when we see, buildings like what we're about to look at here, it starts to get a little bit strange. The first one we're looking at is actually just outside of Victoria. It's considered in the greater Victoria area in Hatley Park, and it's actually in Colwood, British Columbia. So it's not far away. But this place, we're going to just look at the wacky page for it here, the Wikipedia, the Wicca. But this is Hatley National Park historic site that contains Hatley Castle. And it's actually called Hatley Castle and Gardens. But built in 1906, or at least that's when it was brainchild and conceptualized. But we'll have a look at it, excuse me, on another website that has some beautiful photos of it. But I mean, this is a massive stone structure right on the island. And it's like, well, hold on a second. Even if we're talking, 1895 to 1905, 1910, I mean, there's not much of a infrastructure as of yet in Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
It's well on its way, but
no, yeah,
the population and the manpower that it would take to build this thing, right? 1906, BC's Lieutenant Governor James Dunsmuir, who was of Scottish descent, purchased this property from his wife. Also, he even purchased it, so it was already built. When the hell is this thing built, man?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Well, you make
I thought it was
point.
Built.
Yeah, the manpower thing is a big one with such a small population, right? Having that skill level, having
I thought
the
it was
numbers.
built in 06, but he just bought the damn thing in 06.
That's what it says, eh?
Commissioned. Okay. They commissioned a 40-room mansion. Okay. So he purchased the property, meaning just the land. Okay, so he did have it built. All right. Woof, I was going to say, what the flippin' flip, man?
It was rugged island wilderness before they put that castle in there.
Okay, well, that too, right? You got to think of it. It's a very temperate climate. It's not sagebrush and wild grass like it is here in the prairies and at the foothills of the Rockies.
And it's rock. You have to blast to get a level footing. You have to,
That was just kind of confusing wording there, that they purchased the property, because I mean, I just immediately jumped to the conclusion that it was already there.
You mean confusing wording on Wikipedia? Never.
You guys have officially made me lose my marbles!
I love that kid. Howdy, Max. Maxwell Smart in the house. Good to see you. Welcome. Oh,
yeah.
So yeah, okay. So he wanted it in the Scottish baronial style and the Tudor revival. Well, make up your mind. Which one did you want?
Bit of both.
Those are two totally different styles. that were popular in the Edwardian period.
Yeah.
So that fits. Yeah, 1906 Edwardian. Sure. Okay. The Dunsmuirs created many beautiful formal gardens using the services of renowned American garden designers Franklin Brett and George D. Hall of Boston.
Hmm.
In the mass there. Dunsmuirs named their estate Hatley Park in the tradition of British and European private estates. The castle became a landmark. It was occupied by descendants of the Dunsmuir family until after the Great Depression in 1937. Following the death of Lady Laura Dunsmuir in 1937, the estate was sold to the Government of Canada. There you go.
Of course.
And became a historical site, a monument. So now they look after the place, and sure as hell, they keep a sharp eye on the comings and goings. And oh, sorry, that area of the castle's off limits, sir. Yeah, but I just want to take a tour of it. No. Sorry, you can't. But can I just see what's in that? No.
Yeah, you can
Can I
step
just
into
see the
this room.
basement, please? Just want to see the basement, if you don't mind.
Now that reads like a likely story. That same story seems to repeat itself with all these structures. The government takes a hold of it eventually.
Yeah, I mean, why didn't they just put the place up for sale and put it up on the market?
Yeah.
It's got all the provenance and all the history behind it, supposedly. So, I mean, but here's some shots. This is from an article from the Times Colonist. The Hatley Castle blueprints headed to national exhibit. Oh boy, we're actually going to get original blueprints here, buddy.
Wow.
I know. Hang on. They're coming up in this quick little slide presentation. First of all, beautiful place, man. I can see why they named it a castle. Oh, there's our blueprints. Some scribblings of a top-down view of the gardens. Really, it says planting plan for garden, Hatley Park.
I got to tell you, Frankie, as a builder, that's easy to follow that plan and bring it to completion. It wouldn't take much. That's all we need.
You could build this from this.
Well, you have to interpret these things.
I see. Yes, I know I'm a layman. So, well, there's one slide left. Let's see. Maybe there's more. No, well, I mean that's clearly the garden. That here is clearly the design, not the blueprint, but the design for this. But nice try. Mm-hmm. Nice try, Times Colonist.
The local rag, the local media in
there will
Victoria.
be part of an exhibit titled Artists, Architects, Artisans, Canadian Art, 1890 to 1918, that opens August 25th and runs to the 26th, 2014, obviously an older article, at the gallery in Ottawa. So it'll be exploring how architecture and decoration and urban planning, landscape came together in the 20th century.
It should say, in case you were starting to question the narrative.
Yeah.
Right.
Hatley Castle. The National Gallery is delighted to have this opportunity to include drawings for the building and its landscaping. So they didn't show any. Get out of here. They didn't show any drawings for the building, just for the landscaping. So that's a little funny. It's misleading. But like you said, should we be shocked?
Well, you and I aren't.
No, I'm sure most people in the chat are not shocked. In fact, OIC is killing himself laughing. So, yeah, printed in blue ink there. Yeah, so it didn't pick up everything when they photocopied it. Yeah. So, yeah, there you go. I mean, beautiful. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want to take away from this structure itself. Beautiful, multi-leveled gardens, very symmetrical, very pleasing to the eye with this sort of covered promenade here.
Absolutely. No, we're just questioning the narrative that we're being given.
Yeah, we're told that these are original blueprints of Hatley Castle and its grounds. Mm-hmm. So who knows? Maybe at the exhibit I would hope there's more than just that. As the that I would hope that there's more than just just this thing. But that's just me. But there's another castle nearby.
Hmm. I've been to
And
this
that's
one.
okay. Then this, am I saying it right? Craig Darroch? Craig
Yeah,
Darroch?
we called
Darroch?
it. That's probably the technical way, Scottish way to say it. We called it Craig Derrick in
Craig Derrick.
our layman slang.
Oh, that's a Canadian way to say it. Where are you going? Oh, we're going to Craig Derrick's castle there, eh, bud?
Yeah.
Gonna have a couple of beers, maybe have a burger, some fries, maybe get a donut at Timmy's too. Maybe, I don't know. All right, bud, you want to come?
Yeah, I felt like I was being watched in that. I remember going there, and it's like, this is an eerie feeling for sure.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's why is that? Because it's a beautiful building.
Yeah. Maybe they had cameras everywhere. Maybe I was being watched.
That's probably.
Yeah.
What? Cameras everywhere in Canada?
Yeah.
The hell you say? Sorry, I'm having a sip of my. I'm having some hot cocoa right now. Some hot chocolate.
It is December, right? So.
Yep. I decided not to do the little marshmallows in it tonight, though. Sometimes I do. Anyway, this place is like right in Victoria, isn't it? It's just up on the hill, you were saying?
It is, yeah, overlooking the downtown and surrounded by a very an old, fancier neighborhood. A lot of rock walls, landscaping in that area.
A lot of estate homes and that sort of thing.
Yeah, the Governor General's mansion is just down the road. Yeah.
Yes, this is called the Scottish House. Oh no, sorry, it's a C for the Scottish House C. Craig Darn, look at that place. The pink.
Yeah.
That's neat. But
ours
I think
is better.
I was just gonna say ours kind of sorry, Scotland, but we got you over here in Canada. Eh? We got you beat there, bud.
Yeah.
We're all hopped up on caffeine and donuts and maple syrup, so we whack these things up in a long weekend, in the Victoria Day long weekend.
Even if it's cold out, we'll do it in the winter if we have to.
Well, it's Victoria. By the way, Victoria Day long weekend is a Canadian national holiday to celebrate Queen Victoria's birthday, and it's in May, isn't it? Mid-May?
Yeah, May long, yeah.
So there you go. We built it over Victoria Day long weekend. The Craig Derrick Castle in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada is a historic Victorian era Scottish baronial mansion. It is designated National Historic Site of Canada due to its landmark status in Victoria. She is a beauty. I mean, come on. All joking aside, she's gorgeous. Right. Constructed in the late 19th century as a family residence for the wealthy coal baron Robert Dunsmuir. So another Dunsmuir connection.
Yeah, the father of the James Dunsmuir. I did look this one up.
Yeah, these were Canada's robber barons. There was the Dunsmuirs with coal, and there was other families, the Molsons and so on. But Robert died in 1889, 17 months before construction on the castle was complete. I didn't even get to live in his new house. Bummer, man.
See that a lot too with these stories.
Yeah. Whoops, he died. Oh, well.
Still finishing.
Hatley Castle, located in... Yeah, man, like if I was getting a house built and I died, would they finish it?
Yeah.
I guess if it's the banks financing it, maybe. I don't know. It's weird.
The son has to take up the father's sword.
Right? That's right.
Yeah.
You inherit your dad's debt on the mortgage on this giant thing.
Yeah.
More likely, it looks to me like it's an old world building that somehow was cleaned up, and this Victorian era was more of the Victorian tart up. That's when they made it. They fixed it up and made it official in the books. That's my theory. But
yeah, this one has quite a presence when you walk up to it. It certainly has that what we might call otherworldly or old worldly presence to it. Yeah,
it's a lovely building.
Spectacular.
Yeah. Upon the death of Bobby Dunsmuir's widow, Joan, Lady Joan, the Craig Derrick. I'm sorry, I get a kick out of that every time. Was sold to land speculator Griffith Hughes for $38,000. Get out of here. He subdivided the estate into building lots to stimulate sales during the slow real estate market. Griffith announced that the home would be subject of a raffle to be won by one of the purchasers of the residential parcels carved from the estate. Get out of here. The winner, Solomon Cameron, mortgaged the home to finance other speculative ventures, which failed, leaving him broke. Oh, come on. Get out of here. And in 1919, ownership of the home passed to one of Cameron's creditors, the Bank of Montreal.
Ooh.
What the hell is even that?
Not even surprised, but I kind of am surprised. The building later served as a military hospital, college, offices, and a conservatory before it was repurposed into a historical museum in 1979. The museum is currently owned by the Craig Derrick Castle Historical Museum Society. That's a mouthful. Got to shorten that. It's kind of like the Marvel movies. Their Shield. You got to shorten that.
Need a good acronym, yeah.
Yeah, which is a private nonprofit society and is open to the public. The building is a tourist attraction and receives 150,000 visitors. Well, I guess
I believe
there's
it.
proximity to basically to downtown, temperate climate, so you get year-round tourism.
Yep.
And I mean, Victoria overall is just a beautiful city, anyways. I mean, there's no about it, duders.
No, it's got a big parking lot surrounding the property too, so buses can roll in there, and you get a lot of tourists come out and taking pictures. I think it's about 20 some bucks a head to go and tour the inside, which I didn't do last time because I had 5 of us with the family, and I just thought I should have. Now looking back, I should have just bit the bullet and went back inside. Hadn't been there in 20 years.
Well, hindsight's always 20/20, though, right? I mean,
yeah, but it's
man, I've back in my late 20s, early 30s, I used to travel a lot of business, to Vancouver, Victoria, Edmonton, Winnipeg, kind of basically Winnipeg and west to pretty much all the major cities, Moose Jaw, Saskatoon, the whole bit. And man, if I knew then what I know now, I could have grabbed so much great footage from some of these old world buildings,
Sure, yeah.
But it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
But now, is this the place that was on a former military, or was it not? Was it Craig Derrick, or was it the
Hadley? It would be Hadley. The
Hadley.
Royal Military College.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's the third time I've gotten those confused now. I'm just so bewildered by all these castles.
Well, they're both Dunsmuir castles, so you'd be
that's maybe is where I'm getting.
You'd be forgiven to confuse the two. Yeah.
I have one more thing to share here. Speaking of the castles, real quick. This is from an article, Monte Cristo Magazine Online, and they have some beautiful shots here, high-res shots of the Craig de Rock Castle. From a couple of different angles.
That really gives you an idea of.
Look at this, man.
Rare snow on the roof there too at that time.
Yeah, right here.
A ton there, yeah.
Yeah.
That turret, though, wow, yeah.
That's incredible. Balcony. Look at all this. Yes, the circular balcony. One wonders. Yeah. Airship hook up to this, and you disembark the airship onto this platform, and you enter the building. Spiral staircase down. Bob's your uncle.
I have a tip for the Craig Derrick Castle Society. How about a plaque commemorating the actual people who built this structure? Let's know their names, right? You never see it.
Team Heat. Howdy, howdy. Mr. Q. Hello. I think I saw Kathy in here too. Yep.
Yeah, I saw Kathy, yeah.
Good to see you, Kathy. Welcome. Better late than never. Don't worry about it. I'm just happy to see you. Come on now.
Yeah. Good to have you here. Look at that. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the outer sort of terrace, balcony terrace. I mean, with this beautiful big sort of Phoenician shell.
Yeah.
Here on top of this pillar.
Those pillars, those are very, very polished. You can see the shine even in the black and white. That's just right like a salmon colored granite. Those are.
And here. The shine, yeah. The light hitting that. Beautiful. And then look at these capitals up here. Gorgeous.
Classic old world. Classic.
Even just this rough hewn stone here is just gorgeous. And then all this, I'm assuming this tile work here, and it's lovely.
Yeah.
Over 100,000 annual visitors. You can see why.
Oh, there's the Hatley.
So here's Hatley.
Yeah.
So this is former military academy. And this is looking even more castle-like. I mean, this definitely looks like an old world estate home, or what we're told is a mansion.
Yeah.
But this is much more of like an estate castle, I mean, this, I guess, because of our brainwashing, this is what does it for me.
The
Oh,
crenulations.
that means castle. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I believe the
Like,
proper term is crenulations, Frankie.
oh, I see. Crenulations. Yes, of course, of course. I beg your pardon, sir. We thank you for your kind regard in educating us in the proper terminology. Look at these dormers here too.
Mm.
You know, again, we talk about this all the time. All these difficult angles.
Oh yeah.
You know, and then you got to have these massive entranceways. It's beautiful, man. Of course, you got to go up 11.4 million stairs just to get into the baby. Come on now.
It's not for anyone with a knee problem or a hip problem.
It's not for a bunch of hoity-toity old people named Dunsmuirs. Go up and down the. It's a good thing they didn't build this in Winnipeg or Edmonton, because all that ice and snow on those stairs. Forget it.
It gets a bit
trouble
slick.
there, bud. Hey, buddy, can I salt your stairs? I'll do it for 2 bits. You got it. You got her, eh? Get her done, kid.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, though, man. Like, the entire grounds is just gorgeous.
Look at that.
By the way, they filmed the X-Men movie here.
Oh, yeah.
Professor Xavier's School for Gifted Weirdos, or whatever they're called.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it says here, anyway. I don't know.
Yeah, I think a couple. I think there's a Smallville TV show that they've done a little bit. Lex Luthor's home, I think it was used for as well. I saw that earlier today. So I was
in Smallville. Oh, okay.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that I watch it. I haven't seen it, but yeah.
I don't know why there's a statue of Poseidon in that fountain.
Well, the Dunsmuirs were partial to Greek mythology.
Sure, even though they're coal barons, you think there would be something more to do with they got their riches and money from coal, something to do with coal, but I mean, it's a cool.
Perhaps a lump of coal.
Yeah. Got a lump of coal in their stockings.
Oh,
maybe they're supplying the lumps of coal.
Business plan.
Santa Claus, we're gonna make a killing off of Santa Claus.
Yeah.
I just have. Sorry, I know I said that was the last thing, but I just have one more quick shot of the interior, actually, of that Craig Derrick Castle there, eh, bud? From another website. Again, links for all of these, by the way, in the description box below. But this one, like, just as soon as you see it come up, you're gonna be like, "What the? How the?"
Yes.
This is from the official website for the castle itself. So again, beautiful high definition photograph here.
Very
just
ornate.
Look at this with these Phoenician capitals on these pillars. Beautiful.
I doubt you could find a local contractor in the Victoria area that could pull off anything close to that in the modern day.
Yeah, just take a picture. Take him this picture. Take him to this website and say, "Can you do my? I got a. Let's say I got a 2,000 square foot home, and I've got an adjoining living room, dining room. Can you do this for me there, please?
Yeah,
I need it done in about 6 months. So I'd like to have it done by summer." They'd be like, "Get the hell out of here, kid."
Yeah.
But Romanesque. So now they're telling us it's Romanesque architecture.
Richardsonian.
It was supposed to be Scottish
baronial.
Let's make up your minds, you clowns. Will you just make up your mind?
You guys have officially made me lose my marbles!
That's my new one, by the way. I'm hooked on that kid.
Yeah, I can tell. It's pretty fun. I've never seen it before. Yeah.
I can't even remember where I saw him. But I was like, I got to clip some of that guy, man. He cracks me up, man. In the 1880s and 1890s, architecture, a Romanesque revival was underway that was influencing architects of the time. Leading the charge was our American buddy, H.H. Richardson, which you've covered many times on your channel. And some of his supposed works.
Yeah, suspicious story to say the least. Yeah.
This style can be seen throughout Craig Darroch Castle construction. This very free revival style incorporated 11th and 12th century Southern French, Spanish, and Italian Romanesque characteristics.
Of course.
I thought it was Scottish Tudor revival. But anyway, strong
Baronial.
baronial. That's right, baronial.
I like that word.
This reminds me of baritone. Strong, picturesque massing, round-headed Romanesque arches. I like how they put it in parentheses or quotations.
Mhm.
Often springing from clusters of short, squat columns. Maybe they just look short, squat because it's a mud flutter. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But I mean, this, you got to go up a few stairs to get into these big entrances. Why not just have it walk right in her? But anyway, continuing on. A richly varied rustication. Boldly blank stretches of walling contrast with bands of windows and cylindrical towers with conical caps embedded in the walling. Yes, indeed. I mean, that actually understates. A picture definitely says more than 1,000 words in that case.
Yeah.
Because it's a beauty.
Yeah.
But yeah, this whole thing too about it was one of North America's finest collections of stained glass was in this thing.
Mm.
There's so many windows that they just had like dozens and dozens of old world stained glass in it. But mysterious origins.
Oh, well, look at that.
Because 32 of the 47 original art glass windows are still in place. The studio responsible for them remains a mystery. But we've just looked at multiple websites with all kinds of information about this place. Why is there a mystery? In 1890, newspaper account states, an 1890 newspaper account states that the order for interior woodwork from A.H. Andrews & Co. of Chicago included windows. That's the only information they could find on the stained glass in this place.
You don't need any more information. It's time to
But that was
on.
an order for interior woodwork. So windows would be, window frames,
sash, yeah,
sashes,
yeah.
All the trimming for the windows. Probably not the glass. That would come from a glass factory or a glazier.
Mm-hmm. That'd be a heck of a thing to ship. Very fragile, wouldn't it?
I mean, I suppose, but they would probably specify stained glass windows for purposes of, like you said, to transport it, due to insurance, if in case it's damaged during shipping. I don't know. Mm-hmm. The restoration of this historic site is ongoing, of course. In other words, they're mucking around with it all the time. And it's taken more than 30 years to get it to its current condition. Craigdarroch Castle is a must-see for any visitor to Victoria. Well, that's for sure. Oh, what's going on here?
Oh.
Something to do with all this beautiful glass. Sometime after Joan Dunsmuir's death. That's Lady Joan Dunsmuir, if you don't mind. Several art windows disappeared from the castle after the old broad bought the farm and kicked the bucket. The largest of these windows were removed from the dining room, the sitting room, as well as a bathroom. So they stole some of the largest ones from the bathroom. How uncouth, eh, Chris? My goodness. The Castle Society plans to, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Go on.
They plan to install reproductions of all the missing stained glass art windows at Craigdarroch, which will involve careful study of historic photographs. If you would like to help us, yeah, you're not getting any help from me because you guys don't even know.
Good luck on your reproductions, folks.
Yeah, when you don't even know where they came from originally, you can just look at old photographs, old black and white photographs. I would imagine.
Yep.
Right.
Black and white for a stained glass window. Yeah, right.
So there's that, people. So there you go. There's a little bit of wacky history in and around Victoria to do with castles, estates, stained glass windows, former military academies.
You've got your ice pick out tonight. You're poking holes in the narrative everywhere you look.
Well, fella likes to have fun with her, eh? I feel like I'm tapping into a maple tree and the sap's just oozing out of there, bud.
Yeah.
So how's everybody in the chat doing? Hello. Once again, thank you for joining us. Diamonds is here. Hello. Good to see you. Cousin Vinny, my buddy Vince is in the house. Ed's here. Jabberoo Joe, OIC, welcome. Howdy, everybody. There's Terry. And Susan,
Mason-esque, yeah.
internet person. Melted Realities in the house. Good to see all of you. Thanks for joining us here on a Friday evening, or maybe it's a Friday night. Howdy, Scott.
Hey, Scott.
Arizona. So yeah, don't be shy. 47 of you watching between the two channels, so appreciate that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Give a couple of Canuckleheads a thumbs up if you like, or a thumbs down. I don't know. We're not gonna rake you over the coals, are we? I don't know.
We prefer honesty. We're looking for the truth, so yeah.
Don't worry about it, Vinny. Sorry I missed your earlier stream. He says, yeah, I had my show earlier today. Yeah, we've got to jump the time frames around it, time slots around a bit, so we could fit in the Canucklehead show.
We took the prime time for the Canuckleheads tonight. I insisted, Frankie. I said it must be. It must be.
It's Friday. So it has said, so it shall be done.
Yours is much better than mine.
We are not amused with your inferior time slot, 7 p.m. Mountain Time or nothing.
Yeah.
So it has been decreed, so it shall be done. So what do you think? You ready to take a quick little break? Smoke them if you got them, kind of a thing. Yep. I've got some whole movies from the early 50s here that I've put together as a nice little video treat as the sort of the halfway mark of the show, as we like to do here on the Canuckleheads. And once again, links for Chris's channel and all of his deets, as the kids say, all of his digits, in the description box, as well as yours truly, Frankie, New West Reset. So if you've got ideas, try to keep it Canadian content if we can here now on the Canucklehead show. But if there's a place you want us to check out, let us know. That's what tonight's show is. Recommendation, Victoria. So we'll take a brief pause here. This is just a quick video. It's 2 minutes. Home movies that I found. If I remember correctly, they're in color as well. I just put a little bit of music to it. We'll have a look at that. And then we'll be right back. So stay tuned. All right. We are back. Welcome back, everybody. The Canucklehead Show, episode 8. Yours truly, Frankie, New West Reset. I think Chris is here.
Yes, I am.
Chris, Old World Exploration. Episode 8 of the Canuckleheads show. We're looking at the Queen City, Victoria, Vancouver Island, British Columbia, up in Canada land. So thanks for joining us. Island Mountain Mushrooms. Welcome, welcome. Risen Abilities in the house. Howdy, howdy. Thanks everybody for joining us here and kicking off your weekend with us on the Canuckleheads. Look at this beaut.
This is the Craig Derrick Castle. I just have a few shots I wanted to share before we move on to some of the other structures.
What the hell is even that?
What a beauty.
There's
stone arches.
There's the salmon columns I was talking about. Salmon granite.
Yes, they're peeking out. Yep.
They're there. I think I took this photo actually when I was there. But we looked at that from the side as well. Just take a look at the texture of the construction here, folks. It's quite impeccable. Yeah.
I love that rough-hewn stone work, how when the light hits it at certain times of day, it reflects the light and it changes color from sort of grays to off-whites, then back to sort of light browns and tans. It's really cool. This looks a lot like the Lougheed House here in Calgary, which is another sort of palatial old world estate home.
Yeah. This is the interior of Craig Derrick. The woodwork panel. Check out the paneling going all the way up the wall. Bit of a wainscot here. Impeccable woodwork. This would take years to do in the modern day. This is all, there's no composites or veneers. This is all actual hardwood paneling.
Yeah, that's gorgeous. And then the engraving and the relief work on all of that, the carving in it, it's beautiful. And not to mention the floor, the design in the floor there, right on the corner before you ascend the stairs.
Right here. Take a look at that. Yeah.
Yeah, that. My goodness.
I got some over here too. Yeah.
Wood inlay and stuff. That's beautiful, man.
And one more of this is from a little bit further back, so you can see the coffered ceilings as well here. So, not just a pretty exterior. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to jump over to the BC Parliament building. I kind of have to. I think we saw it in your video there. So we have to get this one out of the way. So let's dive into that. Really a spectacular structure, this one. Amazing.
Yeah, it rivals a lot of U.S. state capitol buildings.
Yeah, absolutely.
This one even, I think even the Edmonton legislature, the Alberta Capitol building pales to this, I think.
Yeah, this is pretty. Look at all the little domes. You lose count. You're trying to get all the domes. It's pretty spectacular. Here's a view from above.
Well, they're Canadian domes, eh? Because it's a dome with a cupola with another little dome on top. So it's got the double domes, eh? It's a double.
Canadian style, yeah. And you can see how far back it goes. We were just looking from the front there, and you see how deep it is. It's a large structure. Let's just pull up some info on this sucker.
It's huge, my man. That is huge.
And now you're going to like this. So construction started 1893, completed 1897. We got a 4-year window of time to get this thing completed. I wanted to share this part of it.
Hey, Howie. Welcome, Howie. Harrison in the house.
A contest. Architecture.
Oh!
Yes.
Oh,
we have a contest, folks.
Oh, boy. Oh, here it is.
One Francis Rattenbury, a recent English immigrant.
Oh, I say, Sir Rattenbury. Well done, sir.
25 years old at the time.
Oh, just wet behind the ears.
Entered under the pseudonym of ABC Architect.
Get lost. That's not even real.
This is fiction, historical fiction, folks, is what I think we're looking at here.
I say, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
Yeah.
Something ain't right indeed, my fine bearded friend.
He ends up getting it. He ends up doing, I mean, if you follow this guy's story, and I looked into it a little bit too, this reads like a a Hollywood drama as well. Eventually, ends up getting murdered by a lover of his wife, and it just reads like jumbled up fiction when you read the stories of these people. Hard to believe. But also responsible for building the Empress right next door to this building.
Oh, the Empress Hotel.
So
Mm,
a little backstory on that, and there's another one we're going to look at too that this guy is responsible for. So a few more
this is
shots.
amazing, man. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, they're telling us this is a construction photo.
It looks
I don't know.
finished.
It looks like they demolished something for sure here.
It might be a construction photo, but it's not the construction photo because the building's finished.
Yeah, they have the cupolas on already.
Yeah, everything's done. It's Bob's your uncle. It's Miller time, boys. Grab yourself a Labatt beer.
Yeah, kick back and relax. Yeah,
I love the crappy wooden fence in front of all that rubble there. That's nice.
here, yeah, I know. I've got actually quite a large file, so I am going to try to move to try and get as much of it in as makes sense. So we'll see here.
Ah, that's a
Yeah.
nice shot with the mountains in the background too. The Rockies,
Beautiful. Yeah. Early, like it's so out of place when you look at this time. Look at certainly not looking like a new structure.
No, this looks like it could be in Eastern Europe or something in the 1700s.
Yeah.
Maybe comparable to the Bon Secours market in old Montreal. With all the domes and the size of it, but this one I think is even bigger than that, dude. I mean, this is on an island, people.
Yeah.
Horse and buggy era island. The railway was not even close to being there yet.
Yeah. Well, you're being corrected in the chat, the Rockies. It's actually it would be the more of a coastal
Sorry, the
range.
yes, the coastal mountains. Excuse me. I live in the Rockies, so I'm just partial to the I always just say Rockies.
We want to be accurate here, I suppose.
Yes.
This is supposed to be
Thank you, Ed.
construction photo.
No, right is right, and he's right.
So again, does this look like how you would lay out the work process for a structure so magnificent?
You want to just build the front first and put all your little cupolas on it, and then just keep building from front to back. Dumb. It's not how you build. Even I know you don't even build a doghouse that way. Come on.
Exactly. And I did walk around this when I was there 2 summers ago. This is my photo, I think, as well. I ended up looking down some of the vents at the bottoms of the wall, and I should have taken a picture of it. And I could see at least 20 feet of red brick below the ground level. And then covered with a metal grate, like an air exchange, part of an air exchange or something like that.
Yeah, the old air exchange system, air catcher, what I call the wind catcher, which actually I got that term from Stuffed Beagle. But yeah, it's air exchange system. It was a whole bringing in fresh air, pushing out stale air, heating up cold air, cooling down hot air, depending on the season.
So that would be like walking around here. There'd be little vents down here, and at least 20 feet. It was red brick that I could see until it basically hit the darkness. It was so deep. So this goes way down there.
Oh yeah. This thing is so impressive, man.
Isn't it amazing? Yeah, this is a nice photograph. Yeah, they're doing this on the island with how many 30,000 people living there at the time, somewhere around.
Yeah, exactly.
And as we'll see, not the only structure going up at the time. This is the interior of that, one of the chambers, whatever. They make the big decisions here in BC.
Sorry, that thing was built when again?
1894 to 1897, I believe, or 93, 4-year time period.
Mid 1890s.
That's right.
So there was less than 20,000 people. There was around 16, 17, even be generous, 18,000 people.
Well, they must have brought in the heavies for this one.
Oh yeah, you bring in your big boys.
Because nothing's going on anywhere else.
No, they're not. It's not a building boom on the entire continent, for crying out loud, in this time period or anything. It doesn't matter if you go to Madison, Wisconsin, or San Francisco, or
Seattle,
Florida. It doesn't matter. Columbia, Quebec. It doesn't matter.
You can't be poaching other cities' workers because they're building their own stuff. You got to do it.
These were semi-nomadic, semi-feral, roving gangs of highly skilled workers that would travel from town to town, kind of like the Incredible Hulk, solving crimes like the Little Turbo.
They're superheroes, right? Superheroes.
But instead of solving crimes, they were building these magnificent structures. Now, come on now. They just
Underside of the
hop
town.
on the stagecoach and ride out, and then I guess charter a boat to the island and just whack this thing up.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. Our melted reality says we can't pave a 10-mile road in 4 years now. Yeah, ain't that the truth?
yeah. There's we're seeing it quite clearly. I think that there are holes, massive gaping holes in this storyline, folks. Seems to be getting clearer by the day. 1865 here. I don't know if you have that Wikipedia up still. What was the population back then?
Give me 2 shakes here.
Putting you on the spot, I know.
I should just leave it up. I don't know why I keep closing tabs. It's not like I'm using my crappy old 6-year-old laptop anymore. Sorry, what year?
1865.
Oh, it's not even on the thing. 1871, there's 3,000 people.
Well, in 1865, before then, you've got at least two-story brick buildings. This is the Oddfellows. You can see Oddfellows Hall up top here.
Uh-huh, yep.
A couple of Oddfellows out front. Blurry-looking horse. And
that's Fred. Fred's Canadian cousin, Ed. This is Ed, Fred's Canadian cousin.
Fred
Ed the horse.
Yeah. 1891 now we are looking at a photograph, we are told, of Victoria in 1891.
16,000 people.
Mm.
When we first moved from Montreal, Quebec, when I was 10 years old, we moved to not directly into Calgary, but to a small town just north of Calgary. We moved there in 1980, and there was 4,000 people there. And by the time I was a teenager and entered high school, there was 20,000 people, and there wasn't big buildings like this, not 3- and 4-story structures that take up half a city block,
like this one here.
The tallest building was the city center, which had like city hall and the city, like the town offices in it, and it was a 3-story brick building that was built in the 70s, I think. Look at that. That must be what is that, a church?
This one here?
Right in the middle of the photo? The big
here?
Or a post office or something? Yeah.
Yeah. There's a post office, there's a city hall around there, and there's churches. Yeah, we'll keep moving here because I got them all in here.
Wow.
Here's a nice, beautiful street shot. And we need to talk about the streetcars because that narrative just sticks in my craw, They want us to believe that, but I just will not. That looks old. This vehicle here, to me, looks old.
The streetcar that you're zooming in on right now looks old, rickety. It looks like it's been used for a couple of decades already at this point, and I could tell by the attire of the people that this is late 1880s, early 1890s.
Well done. 1903 I have for a date on this photograph. Good eye, Frankie. Good eye.
A lot of bicycles, a lot of horse and buggies, no jalopies, no cars, no steam power, anything.
Got a gargoyle coming off of this building. This is a fantastic photo. Very crisp. Look how clean the streets are. Curbs are just perfect. That curb work is immaculate.
At this point, we're still at just 20,000 people. That's a really small city, but this infrastructure is impressive. A streetcar on the island, come on. And by the way, the railways, they had their separate like Grand Trunk Railroad and stuff, but it didn't connect up through the ferries and everything to the main national lines until pretty much right around this time.
All of it supposedly happening. It's a very poorly written narrative for a lot of these western, more remote areas like Victoria.
They have to compress so much into such a small time frame. It's a pretty tough pill to swallow,
It is, yeah. This is 1908, similar time period. You still have the streetcars looking like they're firmly a part of the infrastructure and have been for some time. Right.
Yeah, the streetcar thing is to me it's just like the trains, the old steam locomotive trains. This is old tech that was rediscovered and reverse engineered, and then it was, improved upon and built upon and expanded, and
Mhm.
until finally then they decided, this is pretty efficient, and we've got to be beholden to the petroleum robber barons, so we're going to convert to diesel
Yeah.
and trade the streetcars for diesel buses.
20th century. Yeah. This is the inner harbor. So there's the Empress we've taken a look at before. The Parliament building would be over here. And you have a lot of the main downtown buildings here on the left. But this is early on, 1927. It's a little bit later down the road. I'll show you close-up pictures of this inner harbor section here as we move forward.
That's pretty impressive, though.
The infrastructure, that's all man-made. This whole inner harbor, look at the shape of it, right? All of this had to be scaped into, and this has been around for a while at that time.
Yeah, I mean, that's a massive works to do that.
Yeah, on the water. Yeah. Yeah.
Vincent's chopping at the bit in the chat. When was the fire?
I saw that. No fire that I could find with Victoria. Did you find a fire?
Just the new Westminster fire for Vancouver area, but nothing that I could find for Victoria.
No, I know Vancouver City has its fire narrative as well, but
yes, yeah.
I think Victoria's narrative is being hidden in that colonial British royal military vibe, sort of. If you guys catch my drift to what I'm saying, like they're justifying its existence through the regalness of the area, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that could, because I just Googled on the interwebs machine here, Great Victoria Fire, Canada.
Nothing. Yeah.
No, just recent fires, 2021, bushfires and wildfires of 2023.
Yeah.
But no great fire. So,
yeah.
Oh, wait, hang on.
Ooh.
There looks like there may have been something in 1907. Hold on, here we go. May have found something here. Individual structure fires in the 1850s, 1870s, 1890s.
Well, definitely some burned down. I have some of those narratives too. Some churches, things like that.
I've got July 23rd, 1907, the worst fire in Victoria's history, raced through several blocks, destroying just about everything in its path.
Oh, there we have it. We have a fire.
It began in a blacksmith shop at Harold and Store Streets, sorry. But the wind, of course, carried the flames to Government Street, then Douglas Street, then Blanchard, then Quadra Street. 90 structures in 9 city blocks were wiped out, and about 250 people were left homeless. No lives lost, but the fire was stopped when firefighters tore down some structures to prevent the blaze from spreading.
Frankie, well done. Well done. You did that on the fly.
I will bookmark this, and I'll post the link for this in the description below as well after the show.
That's some top-notch research and on the fly, Frankie. I like that.
Well, I mean, it wasn't tough. You just type it in the Goggle machine,
hey,
do a little scrolling. But I appreciate
compliment.
that. Thank you. But that's at the behest of cousin Vinny.
Yeah.
And now he's disappointed. He was like, "Hooray! We found a city that didn't burn down." Oh, for F's sakes! Every single time. That's right. Oh, I see. Ye olde fire story.
This one I wanted to include because it shows a streetcar in a remote neighborhood. Isn't that interesting?
Like a suburban neighborhood.
Yeah.
We see that a lot in the West Coast. There's old footage of Vancouver, and it's taken from the point of the streetcar. It's old film. I've shown it on my channel before.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
And that, at one point, the street trolley or the electric streetcar goes through a couple of suburban neighborhoods.
Pretty
the old streetcar here in Calgary used to do that. It actually used to come into my neighborhood here, which was developed in 1905, so they say.
Mm.
The old tennis club here was 1903, I think. So yeah, the streetcar used. I found the old poles where they used to attach the electrical cables to power the overhead electrical lines for the streetcars.
Yeah, it's definitely a part of the infrastructure, much more so than we've been led on to believe, I think, everywhere.
Yeah, a lot of times they would take folks between, like from town to town, if towns were close enough.
Hmm.
They did that a lot in the States, and they did that a lot in the UK, where the electric streetcar service would zip up and down a couple of the main streets near town, and then you would transfer to another streetcar, and it would leave your town and go to the next town. You know, a 10 or 20-minute trip.
Hmm.
Look at this castle! Wow.
The Armory. Quick blurb on the Armory. Completed in 1915, we're told. That's probably good enough as far as I just wanted to hold that date. I walked right up to this one and took a few pics as well when I was there. This looking for the back side of it, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah, and they're doing some drills there.
but it's a castle. Let's be honest. The
Well, they call
crenellations.
it an armory, right? And in my experience, all armories look alike, so that's why they designate them all as armories.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I have a theory that some armories were perhaps old airship hangars.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I've seen the ones with the big open areas. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and so they must have served some sort of function having to do with that, possibly. But magnificent structure. Look at the brickwork. Right,
Looking very aged there too, around the windows in the front facade.
yeah.
That's a great shot. Look at the detail there. Wow.
Underside of that. Look at that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even begin to understand how this was put together. Is this some sort of mold? Single mold? Is it a blended mold? You know,
There's
the
got to be some kind of skim coat or something. Maggot, if you're still in the chat, he's our resident concrete and cement expert.
Yeah, you see the underside here has a bit of that stucco almost look to it.
It may have been a mold or some kind of applique that they could put on, and then they put a skim coat of schmutz to give it that masonry or stone sort of effect to it. Either way, it's gorgeous, man. It's super detailed.
Yeah. We have another castle too. This was the Carey Castle, 1884.
Looking a bit mud flooded and a bit stumpy to me.
This is quite obscure. I've never heard of this. I just found this picture on one of their archives there, but still has the castle look. You know, the British influence.
Yep,
That's what they'll say. Yeah,
that's a looker too, though. You know, a really impressive old building. That looks really old. I mean, part of it could be the aging of in the photo itself, but
yeah,
it looks like it's been there for centuries, man.
But they're saying the photo is from 1884, so yeah, it does. It looks old. Royal Theatre.
Yeah, Phil, I always say schmutz. That's just a thing. I don't even know where I got that from.
Yeah.
That's
it's
fancy
interesting
for a big building because it kind of has some of the telltale signs of a more sort of a brutal modern building, but then the front is really nice with that suspended marquee canopy in front of all the fancy.
See the brickwork, the diagonal brickwork going on.
Yeah, it's like a herringbone or diamond something. It's amazing.
It's not nothing. It's something for sure. That's the inside of it. The Royal Theatre, 1912.
Okay, it is an older building then. It's just the outside is just very cube looking, but the inside, I mean, they don't build them like that anymore. That's definitely old world. That's beautiful.
Well, you have to wonder if they've cubed it up and chopped a lot of the lines along.
Well, maybe the larger back end is newer, right? Where it says Royal Theatre on top.
Possible for sure, yeah. Possible.
Yeah, but that lower main portion was the original building, and maybe it had more embellishments along the roof line. You know, the urn-shaped tech, or who knows what was along there that they took off of it too. Maybe,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Because this photo's from the '60s, so or '70s, maybe.
Yeah, Yeah.
Late 60s, I would guess, from the cars.
They've planed it down, possibly in some ways. There's the
Yeah.
Chinatown, I think. Chinatown Arch, 1906.
The second largest Chinatown in North America after San Francisco.
Just before the big fire, 1906, right? Mm-hmm.
That thing is, that's a very impressive arch into Chinatown. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So we're going to get into the Christchurch Cathedral right now. So this
Ooh, look at the somatic window on that thing.
Interesting bit of narrative here too. Okay, we have what it looks like today.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the interior. Let me get you guys the interior before I share the story with you. Here's what it looks on the inside.
Beautiful. Yeah, really nice.
I think somewhere around the early 20s or teens, they're saying this one was constructed. You can see the pipe organ up here. Here's the ceiling, the underside of the ceiling. Brick.
Looking very similar to what we see in the UK or in Europe of what we're told is stuff that's built just post-Renaissance, like 1800s, early 1800s, maybe mid 1800s.
Mm-hmm. So short timelines with these ones in North America, though, these churches. Here's what I wanted to get into. So we have this, which I think they say was not constructed. This is a drawing from 1893. And you can see the front here matching a little bit of what we see here with that peak.
Right.
All right. Where you have the modern day with it's been leveled off and something's been changed, right? I also found this picture, which they're calling a construction photo. Is it a deconstruction photo and a modification photo? Is it a complete forgery? I don't know.
That could almost just be a construction photo of any cathedral-style church of that time period anywhere, and they just label it. This Victoria, Canada there, eh, Bod? Okay, move it along, eh?
It is a poor quality photograph, especially for 1929. Yeah.
But I mean, who knows, right?
So an interesting part of the narrative.
But if you go back to that drawing and for a second and compare it to the more modern photo.
Yeah. Okay, and the modern day will be
because like that drawing, the arch and the sort of it's the pointedness of the arch above the door that's above the door, like it's between the door and the somatic window, isn't there on the modern building. The arch pointy thing is above the somatic window in the modern building.
Yeah, it's confusing for sure.
Now again, that's a drawing, so they may have made changes to it, but it's probably two different buildings, and they're just trying to confuse the narrative. Maybe I mean
that's what I was thinking. There's also a third building, the Christchurch Cathedral, just to confuse the narrative a little bit more. They're calling this one a wooden structure, and there's the horizontal lines to prove it. Burnt down, I believe, part of the narrative. I didn't dig that one up because there's more of this going on in the narrative. We'll move on from
weird stuff going on the tippy top of that tower, though. That's odd.
And if you've seen this shape before, and that's usually a brick feature when you have this terracing going on.
Yeah, that's not wood. That's brick.
It's a pilaster for structure, I think.
It may have wooden siding on it. I've seen that a lot with old churches where they just get tired of trying to maintain the brick, so they just cover it in siding. But yeah, I don't think that's wood.
Yeah, we'll keep moving. This is the city hall. We have a bit of a story here. Completed in 1890. It took a little while, 1878 to 1891. Second Empire style. So one of the early buildings. Again, remember that time period, 1878. What was the population? It was not very high, was it?
No, 1878. It was
15,000 people or something.
It was well, it was like 5,000 people. 1881 is 5,900.
So they had the presence of mind to build this structure city hall for a city of 5,000 people in 1878.
Yeah. Well, like I said,
Okay.
when we moved to the little town that my parents still live in,
Yeah.
it was about 4,000 people, and their city center, which had their mayor's office, city council chambers, and all that, was a one floor shorter than that.
Yeah.
Maybe the same footprint in terms of size.
Mm-hmm.
And it obviously not that fancy. It was just a crappy 1970s building, you know?
This is an 1870s building.
So therein lies the difference. Oh, how far we've come in 100 years, eh, bud?
Oh, yes. Progress. We're progressing. This is the Crystal Garden.
So like another Crystal Palace in Canada?
Here, yeah, let's read it.
Sort of?
Designed by Rattenbury, the gentleman who was murdered, who designed the Parliament building.
Yes. Yeah.
It was certainly inspired by the London's Crystal Palace. There you go.
So
Good
this
eye.
is now the fourth one that we found, the fourth Crystal Palace in Canada alone.
Mm-hmm. This one had exotic gardens, dance floors, and a saltwater pool. So it was also a natatorium.
That's
Interesting.
insane, man. That's amazing. Now, I'm not talking, like the British Crystal Palace where supposedly they built it, then they moved it, then it burnt down. No, I'm talking about 4 or even 5 now separate Crystal Palaces in separate cities from coast to coast to coast and points in between.
Yeah, we found one in Toronto. We found one in Hamilton.
Yep.
Yeah,
There's one here in Victoria. There was one in Montreal.
We know New York had one in the States. But yeah, they're probably more common than we have been led on to believe. Yeah.
I think so too. I think maybe they were old world greenhouses or something.
Yeah, something going on there. Here we are looking at the back side of it. You can see this is the back side of the Empress Hotel. That's also curious too. I don't have a lot on the Empress in here because we did cover it.
Yeah.
Here it is. This is strange because this, again, Rattenbury gets credit for this construction, and it goes up in the 1908 or so, and or 1907, and then 2 years later they decide to add another wing onto it on this side. So what kind of building gets built and then 2 years later they decide to expand onto it?
And in 1909,
1908, so all in that time frame there.
Because in 1901 there's only 20,000 people.
Yeah.
1911, 30,000. So there was a bit of a jump there, but not to warrant adding an entire wing to a hotel. I mean, yeah, I guess it's a tourist destination, but I mean, come on.
Let's put it in perspective. If you had a massive hotel go up
2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, if it went up in your town in the modern day, they finished it, and 2 years later they announced a massive extension onto it. My first impression would be, well, why the hell didn't they have the presence of mind to make that a part of the original build?
Yeah, like if we're booming so much that we're having to put all these buildings up anyways, why wouldn't you build it with the expectation that we're going to continue to have population growth and have more and more influx of tourists coming in? So, yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, you want to...
It's odd, right?
Very short-term viewing, right?
Yeah, it seems very odd, and it seems like, again, they're trying to... For some reason, they're filling in some part of the narrative that doesn't make sense. This is the interior. This is a swimming pool, a saltwater swimming pool. Right?
Those were very common too, right?
Yeah. Healing centers, maybe.
I kind of look as Victoria is, it's kind of like Canada's San Francisco in a lot of ways, with the saltwater pools and the grand palaces and the magnificent Capitol building.
Absolutely, it is. I had that thought as well today. So yeah. All right, we'll keep moving on here. This is a shot of the governor's mansion just down the road from the Craigdarroch Castle that we looked at earlier. Now, I think what's gone on here is this front portion is part of an original structure, and a lot of this has been modified and changed and simplified over time. And I think what was at this location once upon a time was much more majestic, and it's been buried.
Yeah, I think so too. That front part there, they would say, well, that's like the horse and carriage would ride up in there so that the governor could disembark from his carriage, horse-drawn carriage, in inclement weather if it was raining or what have you, right? And then after he got off, he would walk into the manor, and then the horse-drawn carriage would pull around to the back of to another outbuilding that would be the carriage house, and so on. But it looks out of place compared to the rest of the building for sure. It looks like it's from a different world.
It does, doesn't it? It stuck out to me when I was there. It feels older and it feels different. So that's why I bring it up here.
That's a good point, Vince. Right around very close to that same year as their big fire. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. I saw somebody asking, what's the topic? Mark B. We're doing Victoria, British Columbia today.
Oh, hey, Mark. He says just joining in. Anything specific topic for tonight's show? Yep. That's right. Victoria, British Columbia.
Yeah.
It's a wacky place, man. Smoke them if you got them, because we're looking at some crazy stuff here.
Speaking of. Yeah, check out the foreground here too. Interesting. Now, you can walk along here. This is the inner harbor I was talking about earlier. Here's the Empress Hotel. Let's get some perspective. There's the Parliament building. Yeah. This is an amazing place just to hang out in this area. The energy here is amazing. In the summertime, you get all sorts of street performers and artists selling their wares down here. Really nice place to go when the weather's fair.
Yeah, it looks very nice, actually.
But
with all of the park area and everything, and how we noticed that a lot too in some of the grander old world structures. They're recessed off of the street, so you can get not only sort of a nice front lawn or a nice manicured or landscaped area, but you get a lot of trees, and they can build sort of miniature park-like settings as you walk up to the front of the building. It's very, very pleasing and very healthy for you too.
Very well thought out, yeah. So this inner harbor wall, this is what it looks like up close. Now, this is about 5 feet long, this block, give or take, and about 20 inches or so tall. So these things would have weighed a serious amount. And you can see the inner harbor here is all made of these blocks. You were just looking at one of these.
Yeah, those are they got to be hoisted up there, and it's more than a couple of guys in a case of beer, I'll tell you that.
Maybe 2 cases.
Maybe. Yeah. You throw in a big plate of poutine, and that'll seal the deal, eh?
That's a deal. Yeah, no problem.
Freya's in the house, by the way. Hi, Freya.
Good to see you, Freya.
Joining us. Heathcliff in the box as well. Howdy, Heathcliff.
Thanks for being here with us tonight, folks. Appreciate you joining us, and as we poke through Victoria, the old world Victoria, capital of British Columbia, the province I live in. I've called home all my life and lived here for a little while as well. So
it's a beautiful city. I've visited a couple of times. It's gorgeous. Even in the winter, it rarely gets cold enough to get a lot of snow, if any at all. It's
very temperate. Yeah, it's nice.
It's very picturesque.
An old hospital looking much like the old world buildings we're used to seeing, with those basement windows and
it looks like might be a mud flutter contender there.
Squishamid on top there.
Yep, the old Squishamid on the tower. And again, lots of dormers, man.
Yeah, using that attic space. They really made use of that attic space. This is actually right behind the Parliament building. This is a picture I took when I was there as well.
That's not shooting right down on the ground at all, is it?
Yeah, right. Interesting. And this is not far from those grates I looked down and saw, about 20 feet of this red brick. So this whole area, much more to it than I think that stone there.
That's the bottom 2 feet. That's just a facading to make it look like that. It's a stone foundation, and then we built the brick on top of that. Yeah. That's what I call a fake or phony foundation.
Good point. You can see on the bevel there how that would make sense too.
They do that to shed the water, because you wouldn't recess your course of brick back from your stone. You would actually have it overhang slightly for water drainage.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Even I know that, and I'm just a layman.
Yeah, just a Joe Public.
Just a Canucklehead. There was
Yeah.
a question in the chat earlier. Are we named after the hockey team, the Canucks? No, Canuck is sort of a slang term for a Canadian, and we're
Yeah, it can.
knuckleheads, so Canuckleheads.
Yeah, it can be derogatory or not, depending.
Yeah, it's depending how much stank you put on it. Like if you're like, "Hey, you stupid Canuck," well, it's kind of like the N word, Hey, that's our word. Only we could say that.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the Independent Order of the Odd Fellows. Second time they've come up in this presentation.
Yeah, the Oddfellows were big in Victoria there.
Yeah, looking like a large group of top-hatted gentlemen. All of them having those top hats. This goes to Mind Unveiled's work on the top hats with the lead lining. I'm sure you're familiar with that storyline.
And also it goes to the Canadian narrative that it's the beaver pelt with the top hats, the shaved beaver pelt. And Canada, of course, as a nation was built upon the back of the beaver fur and beaver pelt industry, so they say, right? So
is that what they made those top hats out of?
Yeah, the shaggy ones that sort of the Buckingham Palace guards wore was the unshaved beaver pelt. And then that not all top hats, but a lot of those black top hats that we see is the shaved beaver that's pressed and steamed and treated with the weirdo chemicals like mercury and so on to give it that shiny
mercury. That's it. I said lead.
Sort of,
mercury. Yeah.
Yeah, that's sort. Well, there was all kinds of weird chemicals that they used, but I think mercury was one of the big ones. Supposedly, that gave them mercury poisoning and the whole Mad Hatter thing.
The Mad Hatter. Yeah. This is the interior of that Oddfellows location. Let's look at the library, the old Carnegie style library.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
That's why the British Empire had such a boner for colonizing Canada, right? And getting it away from the Indigenous First Nations and away from the French, and making sure they fought tooth and nail, fought off the Americans, right? Because they were making money hand over fist with the fur industry through Hudson's Bay and East India trading companies, and they were importing opium in through Victoria as well, by the way, because it was a major port city for the Western North America. And opium was legal and regulated here in Canada until I think 1907 or something like that.
You have to hand it to the British Crown, though. They did set up these libraries to educate us, educate all of us on the way the world is.
Thank goodness for that.
Oh, I say, I declare that by royal charter and decree that you shall have 3 public libraries in my namesake city of Victoria, British Columbia, in British North American colonies.
We will educate the unwashed masses.
Those unwashed colonies need to have an education, you see.
Yeah. Richardson, a Romanesque revival style, this library. So thank you, Andrew Carnegie, for funding our education.
1904, eh?
Yeah. They're all right in that, sandwiched in that several decade time period. All of these seem to be, most of them.
You can bet it survived the fire.
Yeah. It still stands. Yeah. This is the Masons Hall.
Oh.
Yeah.
A little different in the sense that it's got that corner entrance as opposed to, or at least one of the entrances is a corner entrance.
Yeah, and hold on a second. This is also the Masons Hall. I don't think that's not the same. Is it the same building? Let's look.
Might be just down the side. No, because this has a pediment over the.
Yeah.
One has a pediment over the door. The other one doesn't.
Yeah.
So they had 2 lodges.
Yeah, 2 lodges, and there's that one. This isn't the salmon-colored columns, but you get that similar look repeating itself. I did take a little blurb. The timeline, very early timeline, 1877. I would suspect that would be this one, but I could be wrong.
Well, it depends on whether it's the Royal Arch, the Scottish Rite, and it depends whether it's a lodge or a temple or yada yada. Right? It's all. They've got all this red tape and all this goofy shenanigans in with the Freemasons narrative, those clowns, right? That it's
Yeah. It's always the same story with these guys.
yeah,
We'll
that's
move on.
right. That's right. What's our real story? Rupert's Land, yes, and the Canadian fur trade.
Yeah, it's interesting because the same. I'm just going to jump over if I can. Speaking of Rupert, this gentleman we talked about earlier, Rattenbury, who
Yes,
designed the Empress, apparently designed a hotel for Prince Rupert. I don't know if we touched on that when we did it. We did our railway hotels video. This was the plan for Prince Rupert, apparently, that never came to fruition.
the Chateau Prince Rupert. No, we didn't. Look at that thing. It looks like the Hotel Vancouver, also the one in Winnipeg and the one in Toronto, the Royal York a bit. It has that distinct Canadiana style with the roof. I did a whole live stream on my channel about that. The Chateau-esque style being distinctly Canadian.
Very difficult to work at those type of pitches, especially so high up too. This is a serious building process to do anything like that.
I like how the line drawing there shows mud flood windows and stuff too. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I figured I'd throw it in just for.
I love that. It's,
yeah, the ground covers up half the window. Look at here's the grade line. This would be the grade.
Yeah.
We've got some windows below grade. If you look
yeah, they put it right in the line drawing for you, just so that, you know, you can just walk around looking at it and go, sure.
I'm going to save that one.
Don't need to say any more than that. Yeah, Chateau Frontenac is a mind blower, man. That's one of the most impressive buildings in the entire world, the entire realm, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, and the narrative is paper thin too on that one, like so many of these, but especially that one. That one's I would say a narrative breaker if you're trying to ease somebody into this subject matter. It's not a bad one to introduce to them. The Chateau Frontenac.
Awakening Soldier says, I live just south of Prince Rupert, north of Prince George. Effing Freemason whores. I love it. Rusty Shackelford in the house. Hello, hello. Massive churches in northwest Canada that were torn down because there was no developed roads or infrastructure to build them. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, no question there. Here we're looking at, speaking of massive churches, Metropolitan Methodist Church still stands. Take a look at it in the modern. Looks ancient. Looks like it could be built in the 1200s.
It's a beauty.
Right.
It's gorgeous. Yeah, you're right. If you were to tell me that you were in like South Northamptonshire in somewhere in England, I'd be like, sure. Put on the kettle for tea. I'll be over for tea.
Built in the Scottish baronial style.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. This is a little blurb I tried to snip just to get the timelines on this structure. You can see that timeline again, 1891. The organ comes in at 1910. Here's the organ.
1891, by the way, 16,000 people in Victoria. That's it.
And not the only church. The building began in 1889. Inaugural service 1891. So let's just say
2-year wonder.
2-year wonder. This guy right here, 2 years in 1889. Yeah. Okay. This is the normal school. It's now part of Camosun College down there. It's a community college. Pretty amazing structure too. Yeah, it's an amazing looking structure. You drive by it and walk up to it, and it's got a very open area out front with lots of trees. You can walk. It's really nice campus area as well.
That's what I found the front of this summer. I did a boots on the ground of Southern Alberta Institute of Technology. It was built in the late teens, I believe, here in Calgary. Up on a big, huge hill overlooking the city and the river valley and stuff, which is suspicious as it is. But same thing, the original campus grounds and the original building is just beautiful. Very nice, big lawns with trees, nicely landscaped. big old trees too, right? So like
Mhm.
old trees. Well, for Calgary standards, like 150-year-old trees, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of these educational institutions were ways of explaining the architecture and infrastructure that was there. Just a big grab of land with all these buildings that could be attributed to the educational institute.
Yeah, like what's purpose would a big building like that serve? Well, it's it's a school. Well, why is
Yeah.
it so lovely and embellished? Well, it's to encourage higher learning and creativity in the young minds.
Spark your critical thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the police barracks with its, again, the crenulations along the top.
So the Northwest Mounted Police Barracks or
All I,
City Police?
it's a good question. Victoria does have its city police, so that's a good question. I would guess city just by looking here, but I don't know. I don't have that.
The uniforms, yeah, kind of look like the Northwest Mounted Police or the later RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
Even right up until just after World War II, were like super fancy, man, like really embellished.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is all part of, I think it's the Saanich police they have now, the Saanich Peninsula. They have their, not a lot of places in Canada have their own police. They have to be a decent size population center
Yes.
to have more than just a Royal Canadian Mounted Police presence. Right?
Yeah. And for those of you that don't know, Canada has a nationwide federally funded police service, the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. And then larger cities will have their own city or municipal police force or police service. And then some provinces have their own, like Ontario has the OPP, Ontario Provincial Police.
Mm-hmm.
I think Quebec does too, actually. They have their own police, provincial cops too, I think. And then a lot of the First Nations have their law enforcement agencies. And then also there's a lot of Indigenous First Nations that are members of the RCMP. And there's a lot of RCMP detachments or precincts or station houses on Indigenous reserve land.
Interesting.
Wow, that's a beauty.
Yeah, this is the St. Andrew's Catholic Cathedral, not to be confused with the St. Andrew's Presbyterian, which we're about to look at as well. So two St. Andrews.
Again, the severity of the angle on that steeple or the spire on the top of that is amazing.
Looks not a great photo here, but looks octagonal too, and
oof, look at that. And look at that window too. That is impressive, man.
Yeah.
And all the nodes on that thing. Come on, man. It's doing something, man. It's not just for decorations.
Look, you can see it all. Yeah. Old brickwork too, right? Looking old or heat damaged or whatever. You can see them right up here, all the little nodes going up the peak.
Jeez, man, that's incredible.
Here it is. Let's get a little backstory. I like to throw. I'm into the backstories on this episode here. I did
yeah, we've been going hard and deep with the. Ooh, excuse me. Let's try to keep it PG here, but we're going hard and deep with the backstories. Going hard and deep at the back. Up here in Canada, that's how we like to do it.
That's how we roll. It's just how we roll here.
So a couple of Canuckleheads get it down.
No, let's see here. We have work on the new cathedral began in 1890. This is the same story we saw for that other church. They tell us the year it began, and they tell us the actual time and day that the first bless the building, whatever first mass occurred, right? So they're using the same structure of narrative here to explain away a lot of this, I think.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, like right down to the date and the hour, 8 a.m.
Yeah. How is it that all we get is this the year for the beginning, but we get all this detail for the end? Just to me, it's inconsistent. It's inconsistent record keeping.
Especially with all these damn Freemasons running around all over the place, and they like to do their cornerstone laying ceremonies and all this crap. You'd think it would be super detailed at the groundbreaking ceremony. Like, the first plunge of the first shovel into the ground for this building of this church. You'd think it would be as detailed as everything else.
Yeah, exactly. This is the interior of that same beautiful 1890s cathedral.
Beauty.
So what have we seen? 3, 4?
Yeah. looking very old world, you know.
Mhm. Look like it could be Eastern Europe, could be, you know,
The
yeah, it's
stained
hard.
glass and stained glass and all the gold leafing on those capitals. I mean, it's just. I mean, churches they tend to flaunt a lot of gold anyway, but
Sure.
I mean, this is nice, you know. I mean, wow.
hmm hmm
That's a good question. Awakening Soldier in the chat. Are the RCMP uniforms taken from the Gestapo or SS? No, they're not quite that super duper fancy, like haute couture, like Hugo Boss looking. They're inspired. The Northwest Mounted Police is a constable. They're constabulary, so it's based on actually the Irish, or at least by the official narrative, based on the Irish constables, constabulary.
Well, I'll go
It's
with
hard to
whatever you
say.
say.
It's hard to say, but the uniforms looked very much like military uniforms with the the braided tassels on the epaulets on the shoulders and the embroidered leaves on the collars and the cuffs of the jackets, and 15 different styles of hats depending what rank you were. Like, it was very super duper fancy schmancy for a bunch of
Yeah,
pioneer cowboy cops basically running around in the Wild West,
stylish. Yeah,
apparently building forts. I don't know, supposedly.
yeah.
Because if it
Here,
wasn't the Hudson's Bay building forts, it was the Mounties.
yeah. This is the other St. Andrew's Church I was telling you about. This is a Presbyterian now, St. Andrew's Presbyterian.
Again, with those conical domes at the very tippy top on the four corners. It's so
Yeah,
unusual
this
looking.
still stands there, so that's how it looks today. This is in the heart, I think, in the thick of downtown. I walked right up to this one, and
She's a beauty too, man. Come on. But again, you got to go upstairs to get into what should be taller. I think they look like they should be taller arched doorways. They
yeah.
look stumpy.
hmm hmm Here we have it, designed in the Scottish baronial style. There you go. So if we can probably now identify what the baronial style is. The conical domes, the four corners. Right.
It's Scottish, but it's Canadian somehow. And that's the narrative on the Chateauesque architectural style that's distinctly Canadian. They say with that there's elements of Scottish
hmm
in it as well.
hmm The cornerstone was laid in March 7th, 1889, and then it was dedicated in January 1890. What is that? Less than a year for that?
Yeah,
From the cornerstone lay to...
it's like 9-10 months.
Yeah, you dropped the ball in this, guys.
That
Narrative-wise.
doesn't line up to me anyways. That smells fishy to me.
Yeah, I just...
I mean, yeah, they don't have the harsh winters there on the island, of course, so you could maybe get away with saying it took 2 years instead of 3, but 9 or 10 months.
This is supposedly it in that first year that it stood. It's a brand new building there, folks. Just went up.
That looks like it's been there forever, man.
Sure does.
And again, you could tell me that this is in like Cork, Ireland, in like 1870, and I'd be like, "Yep, I'll buy that."
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is Victoria, BC. Victoria, British Columbia. Here's the pipe organ in that church.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's a big one. I mean, we've seen some big ones, but that's pretty big too, man.
That's nice.
And then we're seeing it right below the somatic window.
It actually peeks out almost right at the center. Like maybe I'm sure it's a perspective of the photograph, but it's nice.
And then nodes all over the top of the top of the pipe organ too. Come on, man.
Yeah,
There's something going on there.
This is the first Presbyterian, the first St. Andrew's Presbyterian. Is it getting silly yet?
Wow. Jeez, man.
It feels so silly, Yeah.
It's
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Yeah. Here's actually they modified it and became an outlet for the province newspaper. This church. They chopped off the pokey bits.
Ah, and they destroyed the window.
That they destroyed the window.
A-holes.
And it became a newspaper publishing center.
Jeez.
Yeah. We'll keep moving.
Terry says it got silly about an hour ago.
I was just reading that. Yeah. We were silly right off the hop, let's be honest. But then, yeah.
I mean, the show's called the Canuckleheads. You know we're going to get silly with it around here. Canadians are known to being kind of goofy anyways because, you know, we're cooped up for these long winters. That's why we sprout comedic geniuses like John Candy, Jim Carrey, and many other knuckleheads.
Yeah, that's why we're willing to entertain these wild conspiracy theories on these channels. You know, we're willing to let our minds float a little bit.
We're willing to entertain pretty much anything here because the main story is the goofiest of them all. So everything else seems a lot more realistic.
It's comical. It sure is. Yeah.
Yeah, why not make that church into a brewery instead of a newspaper? Right? You just knock out the windows and knock off some of the nodes and turn it into whatever you want. It's an aberration. It's abhorrent.
Yeah, it's terrible that they would do that, you know. Top hats again. The top hat folk, the Mad Hatters are responsible.
Top Hat Brigade. Mm-hmm. It's too bad. It looks weird now.
Yeah, it just looks like something's missing for sure. This is the old Supreme Court building. Once in Bastion Square, which is a nice place to walk through and get a bite and listen to some music as well in downtown Victoria.
Yeah, by the old Bastion Fort. That's the old Star Fort that's there, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or remnants of one of the Star Forts of the area. There's 4 in and around Vancouver, Victoria, and then up in northern Washington State.
Yeah. Let's see. We have a bit of a timeline here. 1888, designed by this gentleman. So I snipped that today. So this one's 1888. So again, that time period, right, where there's not a lot of people living there.
He became the region's first and only architect.
Yeah.
Just walked into town and, all right, I'm going to start whacking them up, guys. Look out now.
Now, this is not consistent with what we've seen so far in the video as well, because we have seen other architects building and designing structures in this time period. So,
yeah, absolutely we have.
A little suspect here on the storyline, I'd say.
Yeah, that's right, Terry. Terry says you come out in spring. Hey, look, new buildings. That's absolutely right.
And then you ask your dad, and your dad says, "No, that's always been there, son."
Yeah, and you're like, what the what?
And Dad's got the top hat on. Right?
Not my dad.
No, mine neither.
He's either got a cowboy hat on or a toque.
Yeah. Another
or maybe a Calgary Flames baseball hat.
Cap. Oh yeah. Yeah, another look at the bustling downtown area. The early motor cars here. So.
Yeah, that's right around. That's mid 1920s ish.
Yeah.
That's a lot of hustle and bustle. Look at that cupola with the sort of it's like a dome with the cupola, and then it's not a standard conical dome, it's like a convex conical dome.
Very difficult.
Beautiful.
Very difficult to achieve.
Even the building next to it that says BC Saddlery.
Yeah.
Even that one is beautiful too.
With those nodes. I think these are some of the main streets in the downtown area now. And some of these portions of these buildings still stand. And some of them. Yeah.
Look at all the tech too. I mean, you tell me those are flagpoles. The same building's got like 6 poles on it.
Yeah. All right. I'll show you.
That's amazing, man.
I don't know what if this might be the post office. We may have seen it already, but having that deep texture of many of the buildings I've seen in places like New York, some of those mansions in New York and things like that. More so on the east coast of North America, I've seen a lot of these.
That's another beaut, man. Like, wow. Man, you find some great stuff, Chris. That is
Yeah, well, I wanted to dig pretty deep on this one, and I had that file in the holster, so I did expand on it a little bit. But yeah, Victoria is an anomaly. Just thinking about where it is geographically and what we're looking at here.
And you know what? I'm blaming myself here, and maybe while you're going through the rest of your photo file, I'll quickly look it up. But I want to see when ferry service kind of started from the mainland to Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
Because there you're looking at 1884 and you got elephants walking down the street. So a circus in town or something?
Oh, there's a circus in town, all right.
Oh, for sure, buddy. We got a circus, eh?
Oh yeah. Well, we got a nice several-story red bricker with church-style windows in the background here in 1884 in Victoria, British Columbia. We got a beautiful red brick 3-story ornately decorated building in the heart of Chinatown here in
That
Victoria,
looks like
British Columbia.
it's right out of Nolens, Louisiana.
Yes, has that feel, doesn't it? Yeah, definitely. New England Cafe, 1858 established. That's
Fancy
going.
brickwork on the top there.
Yeah. Well, built 1892, that will tell us.
Jeez.
Well, we're getting close to the end of the file here. There was one more, if I could just segue a little bit, if you don't mind, if you guys want to hold on a little longer before we get to the end. I wanted to squeeze this in to this presentation. Now, just to bring it to people's attention, anyone who might come across this or who's watching now. So we're looking at Victoria. There's a place called the Souk Potholes. Here's Souk. So you drive a little bit, not far from Victoria.
Uh-huh.
And then you drive north up to this area here, the Souk Potholes Provincial Park. And there's a very curious tale of what went on there. So let me just open this up. So the Souk Potholes are a local getaway, usually for young people to go swimming in these Souk Potholes, part of this creek system that created this type of formations, I guess you could say, in the creek below.
Okay. Looks very unusual.
It is, yeah. But what we have is the narrative of a failed resort enterprise at the Souk Potholes. Now, this is a very grainy picture of what apparently there was an attempt to build this resort in the 80s, but the funding fell through. It's called the Deer Trail Resort. The funding fell through, so now it's just a ruin that people go through and graffiti. So I'm going to show you guys some of the visuals of this resort. What I think is going on here is covering up of old world stonework or architecture and a blending with this narrative, a creation of a narrative to throw people off the scent. That's what I think we're seeing here. So they're telling us that all of this stonework that we're looking at was done in the 80s.
Okay.
Now you can see this is a photograph from the time period where they were supposedly having attempted to build this failed resort enterprise. So I just wanted to bring it up just to bring it to people's attention. Here's some of the stonework.
Yeah, that's
80s, you think? This done in the 80s? Now the graffiti is a distraction.
yeah.
Sure.
It's tough to tell with Mario looking at you there in the background, but
I almost
don't know,
feel
it
like
looks pretty aged. Like where it's up higher above that arch there, where people aren't able to reach and graffiti it. That stone, the stone above the arch stones looks pretty aged.
Yeah, I almost feel like the graffiti is like encouraged. It's like
yeah. I noticed that in a lot of the back alleys in the old parts of downtown Calgary, the old buildings built in the 1880s. Like in the back alleys, it seems like everybody's just allowed to go nuts with the graffiti and the spray paint.
I see in the chat, 80s of which century? The 1980s is what they're telling us. Here's some of the stonework coming up the edge. You could see the arch up there as well. Some more in the foreground.
Wondering if maybe there was some older stone structure there, and then it was just found and uncovered, and they tried to add on to it and build a resort out of it, and then
That's
they were
my
effing
thinking.
it up because they're like, we can't do this. So like, we can't marry these two texts together.
We do not have the technology.
Yeah, so they just threw their hands up and all forget it, bot. We're just wasting our time here, eh?
And now they just tell us it was all a part of that enterprise, because that's not the narrative. The narrative is this was all attempted in the 80s, and the stonework looks much older.
Yeah, some of that stone looks old and kind of cooked out a bit even, or weathered, or mold, mildew, mushrooms, something.
Check this out, right?
Yeah, I would say, see what's our real story. So Old World Castle was there before. I'm kind of leaning towards that.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring this up. Here's the soup potholes, just a visual for you guys. Looking kind of melty for my melt heads out there. Something going on here.
By the way, I love Sky Skate. Howdy Sage, by the way, but Sky Sage's comment: chimneys never burned down. That's right. You could have a brick building completely destroyed in some city fire in 1907, and then they take a bird's eye view photo of the aftermath, and you see all these chimneys standing. And it's like, wait a second, aren't chimneys built of brick? Why did the brick building collapse and burn down, but the brick chimney, in which contains fires, didn't burn down?
Yeah. It's ridiculous,
Brick's brick,
right?
kind of, sort of, for the most part. I mean, some brick is cooked in the kiln, baked in kilns longer, for various purposes. But I mean, it's that's just a great comment. Chimneys never burn down.
What's the point of having a chimney if it's going to burn down?
Oh man. The entire brick or stone building around it can burn to the ground, but the chimney will just keep standing. Oh man.
All right, I'm going to wrap up my file here. I just wanted to throw that one in there because I wanted to bring it to people's attention. I find it interesting. Belmont block.
Super baked. Look at that place.
And it's funny, in this file there's quite a bit more. If you take a stroll through downtown Victoria, you'll find a lot more buildings looking a lot like this with some funky gargoyles. So certainly didn't cover everything that would be found in Victoria. These are some of my photos now. I'm just going to wrap up the video with this one, which I find interesting. And I have heard the argument that people will say, okay, well, this is just using clinker bricks to make it look architectural. I get that. I don't think that's the case. You can see here, I think you're looking at some heat damage, but I'll show you. These are the photos that I took. Now, does this look like it was embedded in there that way, or it happened? Like, that's the question, really.
They would have to have scored and cut and chipped away the brick above it to fit over what they're calling that clinker brick. So it seems like an awful lot of bother just if you wanted to incorporate a clinker brick in there. You know what I mean?
It does, and that's why I wanted to share it. You can see here too, like, what the heck is going on there?
That's very odd. It's very, very odd.
Yeah. As I was walking by with the family, I spotted it and I had to get over and take a few pics, right? How about that one?
Yeah, even some of those bricks are cracked and damaged.
Yeah, they've been exposed to some heat, I think. And I actually stayed in a hotel that had the same effect on the bricks. Some of them were turning almost black or dark red, and having this cracked look, like they've been exposed to high heats. Yeah, I noticed it on the hotel I stayed at when I was there as well. This is odd, sliding right out. I don't know. Like, it's hard to explain what's going on, but this would have been the last slide for my video. So strange clusters of weird, melty bricks. So that's the end of my presentation, Ricky.
That's it's pretty impressive stuff, as always. You always come hard and fast with the goods. That's, again, I want to keep it PG. I'm sorry, that sounds terrible. But you know what I mean. Great photos as always, man. I mean, you look at half these photos and
What the hell is that? I mean, that's all you can think. You know what I'm saying?
It's like you think about the accessibility or inaccessibility of getting anything to Victoria, from the rest of the world, let's say. And you're looking at all these churches and government buildings and massive hotels and multi-story brick structures at a very early time period. Makes no sense.
I'm going to bookmark this and I'll put it in the description as well. I did find that the Hudson's Bay Company, big surprise, operated starting in the 1930s. The Hudson's Bay Company operated the first official passenger service along the coast. Most notable vessel being a steamship called the Beaver.
Wait, did you say 19 or 1830s?
1830s.
Okay.
By 1901, a CP Rail took over a sort of a Vancouver to Victoria fleet service of ferries. Then in 1948, there was a couple of lines added. And then BC Ferries, which is provincially run company, I believe.
Yep.
They took over in the 1960s, I believe it was. I'm just scrolling to see here. 1961. So you had the Hudson's Bay Trading Company taking people back and forth from the mainland to the islands. And then...
not just people, stone, brick, glass, right?
Yeah, I mean, everything, I guess, at first, right? Until the infrastructure, I mean, by the official story, until they've established the infrastructure, get the streetcar system in.
Yeah.
Seems like they got the streetcar system in as one of the earliest things, man. Like, holy crap.
They must have had a horse-drawn streetcar system before.
Yeah, maybe. That kills me every time, man. Just kills me every time. Horses pulling streetcars. Get the hell out of here with that. I mean, I see pictures. I've even got video on my channel of horses in the 1890s pulling, and it's like, yeah, okay, but it's the identical streetcar. It's like they found them and they didn't know how to work them, so they just hook up Ed and Fred to it, and they'll pull them around until we can reverse engineer the electrical system.
Yeah. So to be clear, we're not saying it didn't happen. We're saying that there was an old infrastructure that had to be pull started, let's say, and the horses in the meantime were operating the infrastructure. I think that's what we're trying to say, isn't it?
Sure.
Because you get comments, people saying, well, I know they did it because I've seen pictures of them. We're not saying
we're not saying that horses never pulled streetcars and trolleys. No, that's, like I said, we've seen photos. I've got video on my channel of horses pulling in the UK and in the United States and in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Horses pulling, even in Newfoundland, I've got footage of horses pulling streetcars.
Yeah.
But I think what happened was they found this tech and they couldn't figure out how it worked. So until they could figure it out, they just hooked horses up to it. And then later on, this is how the electric works. Okay, now we can power by electric, eh?
Well, maybe they even zapped the grid on purpose, or it was zapped and they had to figure it all out again. Who knows? That's why we speculate.
It's just, you look at the really wide streets on these little towns out in the middle of nowhere in Canada, the US, over in Europe or the UK. Wide streets, like they were planned ahead of time for streetcars and, horse and buggy. And then later on, vehicles and jalopies and trucks and cars, lorries, whatever you want to call it. Automobiles.
Lorries, my dad would say. My dad's from Wales, my old man. He'd say lorries.
Oh, lorries, yes. Aye, lorries.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see these big wide streets, but they're dirt. They're mud roads and mud streets, but they're wide with paved sidewalks.
Mm-hmm.
And the streetcars going up and down. And they're like, so they planned far enough in ahead to make the streets really wide, but the trolleys are being pulled by horses. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what do you got coming up on your channel here, my friend?
Well, I got a live tomorrow with Lucius Aurelian. We're going to be looking at the Art Deco time period.
What time are you going live with that one?
I think that is 5 o'clock Pacific p.m. Yeah.
Okay. So 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is 8 Eastern.
Yeah. Let me think. Let me do the math with my fingers. Sounds right. Sounds right.
What else you got in the works?
Not much. I think I told you earlier before we went on air, I have started putting together a coffee table book of demolished buildings of North America.
There you go. That's what I was digging for.
Ah,
You're
yeah.
so modest, man. Come on.
Yeah, I've started putting it together. It's going to be 100. We're gonna go in groups of 100. We'll see how the first one does, and try to get it published. Stick it out there for people to, set on the coffee table. You're having a dinner with some friends that aren't so much into the old Tartarian theory, but they're seeing some black and white pictures of magnificence, and it draws their attention. Might be a nice little gateway to a conversation. So that's the idea.
I think that's a great idea. I'm proud of you, buddy. That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Very, very good. So I think this is going to be our last show of 2023. We're, I mean, it's December the 1st here. And then, I mean, as we wind into the holiday season, it's just going to ramp up. It's going to get busy. I'm going to get busy because of, just the nature of the job that I do. You've got a family with little ones, so the holidays and Christmas and whatnot I'm sure is like a madhouse over there.
Yeah, it can be
Over there at the Old World Exploration residence.
Yep, you're not understating it whatsoever.
Yeah, I've got enough nieces and nephews and great nieces and great nephews to know that, they get pretty amped up for Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see what happens through December, but our next one, I guess, will be probably in the new year. And what are you thinking? Do you think we should target the East Coast?
Well, I kind of threw Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island out there.
Yeah.
As an idea.
Let's
if
do
anybody,
it.
Again, in the chat, if anybody has any ideas for a Canadian area or city or town that's filled with anomalies that you want us to have a look at, throw it in the chat or let us know by email or even comment on one of our uploads. We'll see it. We'll get the notification on the comment, and definitely would be great to look into any of your suggestions. We try to keep it Canadian content, of course, because we're a couple of Canuckleheads.
Yeah, and there's lots to look at up here, There's lots to look at.
Absolutely. And we seem to do that here on the show. We send a sort of bounce from east to west. We do a little bit in the middle, then we bounce back and forth again. So we've now tonight with the West Coast, maybe head up to Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, another big island.
Yeah. Let's do it.
But that'll definitely be the first show of 2024.
Yeah, we have some time to do some research, and should be good.
I've already had a little bit of a peekaboo. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, you snuck a peek. So you're like the kids looking for the Christmas presents.
Sneaking in.
Look at you, eh?
I know. I'm so carefully peeling back the Scotch tape so that I could reassemble the gift wrap afterwards, and ultimately just spoil my own surprise of Christmas boarding, and then I feel like crap.
Yeah.
Crush says they'd love to have that book on their coffee table. There you go.
Sounds good, guys. I wish I could get it out by Christmas, but that's probably not going to happen. I see Freya's comment there, but
are you going to self-publish?
Probably. I have to look into that process. I think that's probably my best bet. I'm going for the large, high gloss pages, fancy, thicker magazine type of thing, right? So, like a magazine on steroids.
Right. Like a graphic novel rather than a comic book. Yeah.
Exactly.
I know what you're saying. Yeah. Inland Mountain Mushroom says Nelson is a time capsule with all the parts and pieces left over to explore. That's a good heads up. Nelson, BC.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, well, let's definitely put that in the memory banks here. In fact, I'm going to quickly go to the wacky page and just type in Nelson and then bookmark it. Because, a guy will forget. I'm getting long in the tooth.
Yeah,
so
and then Nelson. The Kootenays, right? BC Kootenays.
Yeah, it's in the West Kootenays. Yep, that's right. Beautiful part of the country once again. Wow, and I'm not gonna let any cats out of the bags, but the Wikipedia always shows a little photo of, like, let's say the downtown of whatever.
Yeah.
The little building they're showing is very impressive. So I'm definitely gonna bookmark that. Nelson,
Cool.
BC. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you very much for that suggestion. Absolutely. Yeah, I'll definitely look at that. So once again, as a reminder, links for everything in the description below, how you can reach Chris at Old World Exploration and myself, Frankie, at New West Reset, as well as links for everything that we were discussing tonight. I did find a few extra things, so I'm going to post those in the description below after the fact as well.
I'll have to do
If
that
you want to
too.
look into it, yeah, we'll update the description box, and if you want to have a little bit more of a sneak peek on your own time, by your own selves, because like Chris just said, there's lots going on up here in Canada. We kind of get the short end of the stick sometimes because, let's face it, the official story of Canada is we're a very young country over here. So people automatically think, there's no old world stuff over there. There's just a bunch of fishermen, lumberjacks, French Canadians, and cowboys. I mean, there's nothing going on over there.
Yeah, that is a Hollywood fabrication. Let's put something along those lines.
Yeah, it's definitely a hanky storyline for sure. I mean, it's well.
You guys have officially made me lose my marbles!
Okay.
The kid's the best, man.
Hey, I want to actually, I do want to take some time to thank everybody who does tune in with us and joins us in the chat, or doesn't, but it's taking your time out to join a couple goofs like us poking around the internet is pretty cool, and I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, there's 56 of you watching between the two channels. It's really great. And I think between the two channels, I said this earlier today on my live stream that, we just have a great bunch that come around to my channel. Same thing here with your channel. In this show in particular, we just have a great bunch of people come by. Very intelligent, very engaging, great sense of humor, great suggestions and stories, and sharing some of the local hinkiness and then the official history in their particular areas of where people live in the chat and stuff. So yeah, it's great. Got a great bunch. So yeah, thanks. Appreciate everybody and all their support. Really, really good stuff.
Yeah.
So I think we're ready to wind this thing down here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. It's time.
Great show. I really appreciate hanging out with you, my friend.
And it's a pleasure to converse with you as well. I enjoy it.
We had a lot of fun on this one, as we usually do. We always try to kind of crack it up a little bit and have a good time. But yeah, it was a great show. So yeah, there you go, everybody. Please do all the YouTube things, with clicking and pressing of different buttons and notifications and bells and thumbs and stuff. That'd be great if you are so inclined. It just helps push us out into the algorithm, because more and more as the quote-unquote normies are waking up to some of this stuff, the YouTube doesn't like that. It doesn't want people to know too much about this. It might give people a little taste. Some of the stuff that's easily dismissed as, those are tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists over there. But the engagement really helps just kind of push my channel, Chris's channel, and other channels like ours that look into this stuff out into the algorithm, and it just brings it to more people. And it just sometimes people just don't get notifications for these streams or for when videos go up. So yeah, just all the support you're giving us is great. Really appreciate it. So I think that's going to do it here tonight. I think that's going to wind it down for the Canuckleheads, episode 8. Victoria, British Columbia, out there in Chris's neck of the woods in BC. The California of Canada.
Yeah. Until next time, folks.
All right. Take care, everybody. Thanks again. And we'll see you on the next one. Have a great weekend. And take care out there. Cheers, everybody.
I'm in love with the old world. Love your old world ways.
I think that was like our best show ever.